Hi, I'm Jane Cheffy. I'm here actually to talk about Florida's new anti-foreclosure rescue fraud statute. And I had to practice saying that like over and over because it's so hard for me to say that. I don't know why, but it is. Francesca Passeri gave a very good detailed talk about the types of scams that are out there, the things that are going on, that these fraudulent people are doing to vulnerable people who are desperate. They're going to lose their homes. They will do just about anything to try to keep their home, and so they end up doing things that normally under other circumstances they wouldn't do. My presentation is going to be very, very brief, but I hope it's going to give you a little bit of I don't know, relief from all the gloom and doom here, and that is that the legislature in the state of Florida did enact a very serious statute that's aimed at preventing this type of foreclosure rescue fraud that's rampant, really. And I had a case myself when we were doing the pro bono clinic with legal aid, and a woman was telling me her terrible story about how her mortgage payments went up. She wasn't able to afford them anymore, and out of the blue she got a telephone call from somebody who sounded very, very professional and indicated that he was a foreclosure expert, that he could give her relief from this foreclosure, and that his fee was going to be $600, but it had to be in cash and it had to be up front. So my client was desperate, and she gave him cash of $600. Apparently his name was false. Apparently we have no idea where he is because he just absconded with her $600. And you can imagine, to a woman like that, that's a lot of money. It's a terrible thing. And so the legislature really got involved, and they very quickly passed a new law that went into effect on October 1st of this year. The law is very lengthy. We don't have a lot of time here, but basically I can break it down into two sections. One section is aimed at preventing the foreclosure consultant type of scam. The type of scam where they take your $600 or $1,000 or whatever and they just disappear into the woodwork. The second part of the law is aimed at preventing the foreclosure rescue transaction, where very often the title is taken in the name of an equity purchaser, and then through a series of events the homeowner never ends up getting that property back, and very often ends up paying money to that equity purchaser and is in a world of hurt. Thank goodness the legislature listened to these horror stories. It reacted. So we do have this law on the books. Basically what it does, in the first example with the foreclosure consultant, is it requires a written contract. Now mind you, I don't know really how you enforce this part of the statute, because if somebody is already taking your $600 and running, off to wherever they go, Belize or something, I don't know. I don't know how this statute is going to prevent that type of thing, except by word of mouth, people becoming educated about the existence of this law, about the existence of these fraudulent people. And avoiding giving them cash up front altogether. That's the best way. But the law, the way it's written, is that there has to be a contract. The contract has to be in conspicuous type, 12-point, all uppercase letters. It has to be signed by the consultant. It has to be signed by the homeowner. The consultant has to have given this contract to the homeowner for 24 hours before they're even allowed to sign it. The homeowner then has a 3-day right of rescission. All of this has to be disclosed in large type in this contract to the homeowner, if we get to the point where the consultants actually provide the contract. The biggest part of this statute that I think is going to prevent any basically legitimate activity for consultants is that it's illegal to charge any fee up front. You can't charge anything. You can't take any property, any services, any money up front at all until you have provided all of the services that you have explained in detail in writing in the contract to the homeowner that's being foreclosed. So if you said you're going to renegotiate the loan, you're going to lower the payment, you're going to prevent a foreclosure, you actually have to do those things before you're allowed to charge 1 penny to the homeowner. Is this good or bad? Well, I think it's good if it prevents the fraudulent people out there. Not so good if it prevents legitimate people who are providing this service. But having said that, most people, if they will get on the phone and call their lenders, will find out that there's a whole loss mitigation program within the lender's company, and they can work through these things themselves and not pay a consultant to do that. Okay, that's the consultant part of the statute. The second part of the statute involves what I call equity purchasers, and in fact the statute calls it that. And Francesca talked about this a lot really. And what this is aimed at are the people who find out the properties that, that still have some equity. In other words, the people are not really upside down, but they're way behind in their payments. They're in trouble. They can't make their mortgage payments, and they're probably going to be foreclosed upon. Or they might not be, depending on what happens with the bailout. The equity purchaser contacts the homeowner and says, I can solve this problem very easily. I will take title to your home. I will reinstate your mortgage. You can stay here and live as a tenant until you can get back on your feet, and then you can repurchase your home. This is the type of scam, if it is a scam, and sometimes it's legitimate, sometimes it's not. But the second part of the statute is aimed at this type of a transaction. In this case, the equity purchaser, in order to engage at all in this type of a transaction, has to have a written contract. Again, it has to be in big type, 12-point, all uppercase letters. It has to be signed by the equity purchaser and the homeowner. The equity purchaser has to give its name, address, and phone number. And there has to be a very conspicuous disclosure to the homeowner of exactly what the equity purchaser is going to pay, what they're going to do, when they're going to do that, and how the homeowner can expect to repurchase the home.